This meeting of the Township of Hamilton Committee is called to order. Please stand for the flag salute.
I don't think so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You know, Dan would know that better.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Meetings Law by posting a notice on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by faxing a copy along with the agenda of this meeting to the Atlantic City Press, Atlantic County Record, Record Journal, and current newspapers stating this meeting would take place at 6:30 p.m. on Monday, July the 7th, 2008, in the municipal building, Mays Landing, New Jersey. Mr. Gaskell?
Here.
Ms. Gatto?
Here.
Mr. Nichols?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
And Mayor Pritchard.
Here. Would you now please join us for a moment of silent reflection? Thank you. The first item on the agenda, it's a pleasure for us to recognize our employee of the quarter, Steve Roberti. And Steve is back there running the camera. I would like to read the nomination that was sent to us that really put it over the top, and this was submitted by our Chief of Police, Jay McKean, and this was his nomination of Steve. This quarter, I make an interdepartmental nomination for Employee of the Quarter. I nominate Steve Roberti, Township IT Administrator. I make the nomination both because of critical work he performed in the last quarter that proved necessary to the continued success of several important police department information technology projects currently in progress, and because of his long-term contributions since the day his feet hit the ground, running on his first day of employment by Hamilton Township. Steve has made significant systems improvements to our entire township IT infrastructure and made upgrades and purchasing decisions to specialized police department hardware, software systems that have advanced the police department's ability to better communicate, to better obtain real-time information in the field, and thereby improve the safety of our residents from crime. I emphasize that point. Although Steve's work is in the background, removed from the direct service provided by our police officers on the street, his contribution improves our dispatchers' ability to get good information to officers as efficiently as possible, and improves our officers' ability to solve crime, make the highway safer, and speed the time it takes for officers to solve a citizen's problem. In that sense, Steve is one of the most important, in parentheses, cops in the police department. His work throughout the township to keep our systems running, to improve those systems, to expand our ability to provide citizens timely information about our government operation on the website, from our office information systems and between departments, makes him a valuable member of every department. All of us in each department need him to keep us running, and he is one of the most important members of Public Works, the Clerk's Office, Code Enforcement, Zoning, Administration, and, especially on payday, the most important member of the Finance Department. I know I'm gushing, but I do not take for granted work that is easy to take for granted when everything works, and it does work. And when it doesn't, he fixes it magically so that we can continue to do our jobs and deliver service to the public. We can do that because Steve Roberti is standing right behind us, and as he is today. And from a personal note, you may know that last year we actually went online with the taping and airing of our township meetings, and Steve has been the person most responsible for that. He's done a magnificent job of getting our meetings to be aired on Channel 2 and getting them also presented on the website. So if you aren't aware, you can see tapes of our meetings directly on our website on townshipofhamilton.com. And again, Steve has been primarily responsible for that. So that with that, we'd like to present him with a couple of tokens of our appreciation. If he can put the camera on automatic pilot there for a minute. Black employee. Birdie. He wants to make sure everybody hears it.
Turn the switch on, Steve.
For his hard work and dedication to the residents of the Township of Hamilton and his fellow employees. presented this day, July 7th, 2008. We also have another token of appreciation, a gift card to Hamilton Mall, and of course, a special parking space out back. Congratulations.
Switch back.
Right.
And that switch off now? Make sure that switch gets turned off.
And now that Steve's back at his post, he'll make sure that everybody gets their faces on television when we do these next presentations. And we do have 3 presentations: the Atlantic Shore 14 and 15-year-old champs in Babe Ruth, District 8 12-year-old champs, and the District 8 9-year-old champs. And with that, I'll turn it over to Deputy Mayor Gaskell.
Okay. Thank you. Amy, would you join me down there, please?
Good.
Thank you. This is really special to me to be able to give out these certificates to the young boys of our township, because when I was younger in the 1950s, late 50s, and early 60s, I was a participant in all these programs that the Athletic Association put on. I was fortunate to be a coach here for many, many years, and in fact, some of these coaches here, I coached them, and I'm proud to see that they learned a lot from me. But they learned all their coaching abilities from me. No, they're very good young men, and all the coaches, we're very proud of what you do for the youth of our community. It's very important that the boys stay involved in things, and baseball is our tradition, and it's a great, great sport, and just want to congratulate you on these championships. And Ms. Gatto is our liaison for rec, so she will do the presentations.
Nelson's going to be my Vanna with your certificate. And just wanted to say I'm glad I was recruited after I threw the first pitch, that obviously you didn't need my help to win this, so. And you should be glad for that. But this is really great, and I'm really honored to present these certificates. So I think we're going to have the groups come up, one group at a time, and we'll call your name and shake your hand and give you your certificate, and make sure you get on camera. All right, so let's start with, should we start there? Okay, start with 14 and 15-year-old Babe Ruth team champions of Atlantic Shore A League. So if you are here, come on up. Coaches, managers, players, come on up here. Maybe form like a line. All right. If I call your name and you're not up here, you're still going to have to come up, okay? All right. So first, our manager is John Dubel. Is he up here? Coach Sal Palermo, Rob Silver, and Dean Ellison. Are you Rob Silver? Congratulations. Yeah, stay up here. And our players, Sean Skull, Angel Laris, John Platinella, Jason Palermo, Ryan Ellison, Jimmy Smith. Congratulations. Congratulations. Drake Andresi, Sean Carberry, Jason Koros. Okay. Ray Payone. Derek Silver. Anthony Baglivo. I didn't want to book it. Congratulations. Paul Poucher. John Strickland. And Nick Herring. Okay, congratulations, guys. Next, if we could have the 12-year-old District 8 champs. Looking very coordinated tonight, too.
Times we
We have manager Joe Thompson, coaches Mike Bonney and Ken Murlock. Okay, and now the players. Gianni Baglivo. Congratulations. Danny Smith. Congratulations. Patrick Spear. Congratulations. Stephen Demano. Did I kill that? Damiano. God, I'm Italian. You'd think I would know that. Tyler Thompson. James Townley. Congratulations. Quinn Hardrick. Frankie Mazzio. Daniel Flippin. Darren Legay. McLean Bonney. And Kenny Murlock. Congratulations, guys. All right, and finally, our 9-year-old District 8 champions. Come on up, guys. All right. So first we have manager Dan Weber and coaches Mike Sutley and Matt Robinson. Congratulations. Good to see you. All right, and our players, Tyler Sutley, Maddie Robinson. I know he's got to be here. Congratulations. Jonathan Dodson. Congratulations. Richie Kreischer. Hey, you got a crowd. Congratulations. Cade Antonucci. Alec Thomas. Eric Kaz. Tristan Kudar. Carl Phillips. Ryan Kelly. And Max Zamretta. Congratulations, guys.
Well, congratulations to all of the talented youngsters, and thank you for representing our township so well. You're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting if you'd like, as it only gets more exciting from here on in. But, but if not, we will take a couple-minute recess in case you do want to leave. And thank you all for coming, especially the parents.
Hey, Kath. He took about 300 swings each day.
Well,
Line him up. See, I'll put it down the middle, make him hit up the middle.
Each I gotta take out a
Side corner and make him turn.
so big.
The outside corner. So he hits to the right.
Him made me go for. I went for.
That's where we're at now. They're getting to learn the game.
It certainly had an effect on the crowd, didn't it?
Well, get to the plate and know, hey, gotta hit the ball to right. Fire them out. Gotta hit the ball to right.
Gotta move the runner.
That's what's really getting enjoyable. They go up there and do it. We don't have to tell them.
my complications, Dr. Hirsch.
Once they, that's when they become ball players. It isn't just being able to jack a ball. And, all about the
Oh, yeah.
moving a runner. No, I have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about the bunt? Who was it yesterday?
Joey.
I mean, Victorino. Unbelievable drag bunt.
But that's
Guess now, the day before.
My dad to take him.
Take your jacket off now, Nelson. And dress him up
Very
nice.
nice.
then.
He looked very
Where's the
nice.
Obama pin?
Hey. Got my grandpop here said I look nice.
He's still be getting one of them
big old caddies. Huh?
I'm not gonna big old caddy. I drive my little old Chevrolets, American-made Chevrolets.
I'm gonna be back on the 21st. I ain't going into Philly. The only problem is. God bless you. When I was working, it was $2.30 a day to park.
A lot of calls from my building. A day. If you're not in before 8.
Have it in here.
Oh, well, I don't drive every day.
That's right, you take the train.
So, but I
There are more time.
my train pass annual.
You gave them the Labor Day.
Southward.
Fireworks in Weymouth and Buna last couple nights. They had tremendous shows. They played, I think, back in what ours were. I mean, they were, alley was.
I just
Travel
have
40.
I think it was from Dorothy.
Yeah. Well, that's all that matters.
Find a way.
Like a club meeting?
It's already been 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I have nothing for you. Just keep working on what you're working on.
I'm looking.
I don't think that's the problem. You're not in a political. That's in. That's interesting.
yeah.
Ready? Are we ready?
Go ahead.
Okay, we'll reopen the meeting. The first item is the addition and deletion of late agenda items to be considered for action.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We didn't have an executive session, so next we have early public comment on agenda items.
Yes, Mayor, we had one sign up. Mrs. Kraus signed up for 7D.
Okay.
Now just turn it around. Sorry about that.
Hi, I'm Debbie Kraus, and I'm here because Lee Stanford decided to retire and left me on my own. He's in Delaware now, so as you know, I have already been to the planning board about 7D on the agenda.
The 7-0, I guess, right?
Oh, it's 7-0, I'm sorry. Okay, I think I wrote down 7D.
Unless you're having a raffle. Are you having a raffle?
Okay, so I've been to the planning board with the street vacation, and the planning board sent the street vacation to Township Committee, and there was a problem with the gas company's right-of-way, and they're renewing their lease, which was up, I think, around 2000. Well, after all the paperwork got done with the gas company, and we got it all to the township, everything is good with the gas company now. They have no problem with vacating the street because the 50-foot pipeline runs on that side, runs in that 50-foot, right down the 50-foot that I want to have vacated. I also, in the meantime, had gone to the rescue squad and to the MISPA Fire Company. Mike Robeson and Mr. Cortez had both given Mrs. Anderson either an email or a letter stating that they had no objection to this being done because they're not using it. It is a paper road, and like I said, they had no objection to it. And I'm hoping that that is everything that needed to be done to have the street vacated. If there's any questions.
Perhaps I can shed some light on that. There was an easement that was 50 years old that expired in July of 2002 in favor of the gas company. What happened was Lee Stanford began the process. Lee Stanford put us on notice the easement had expired, also communicated with the gas company that their easement had expired. He was indicating that his position was his client would grant an easement in perpetuity. He just wanted to move this forward. Planning Board has recommended that the street be vacated in accordance with Ms. Krause's request. The gas company, after months, I mean, it was with them for probably 3 or 4 months. Finally, in late June, wrote a letter and said, we're not going to get a new easement because our understanding is that it's in the public right-of-way and therefore we don't need an easement. And as long as any vacation accepts our right to maintain that line, we're fine. That's what they did. I don't know if you've seen that letter yet, but that's
That's the one I turned into Joan. I thought that it was, they redid the easement.
no.
Okay.
They're not redoing the easement. They want any ordinance that we do to accept their pipeline from any vacation and to preserve their right-of-way, their easement in our right-of-way. They're not doing another document.
Okay.
So in any event, that's where that is, and all we need is some direction, and I'll prepare the necessary ordinance.
Just a question I have, Deb. Is it West Jersey Avenue or Boulevard? I know the reference on the...
It's Boulevard.
I think it's Boulevard.
I've seen other references to Avenue, and that confused me a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, because I know the avenue is
Right, it's
down
over here, but this is the Boulevard.
Boulevard. This is up off of Strand Avenue.
All right.
Yeah, go off Strand, and it runs kind of parallel to
Railroad track.
West Jersey. Oh, no, wait a minute, West Jersey and Railroad Boulevard.
Right.
Kind of
Right.
run parallel together, and Railroad Boulevard's there, but not West Jersey.
Okay, thank you.
And like I said, the fire and rescue both went out there and said there's nothing that they could see that would they would have a problem with. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Deb. That's the only one? Okay. All right, next we have a discussion on the proposed 2008 road program, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Sazdelli, who has a PowerPoint presentation to explain the program.
I'm going to pass these out, so if you can't read the presentation, I have the same thing on copies. If you take one and pass it around. Well, I guess the first thing I should say is I start out with a yellow piece of paper and I scratch out what I want to show, and then Steve and my assistant Lisa turn it into this. So that's one of the reasons Steve won the award, because they do all this fancy stuff with it, so, and it makes it much easier. The 2008 proposed road program, what we're doing tonight is, to refresh our memory, the council and the capital budget approved $575,000 for the road program, and asked the, what I'll call the Public Works Subcommittee to come back with a recommendation. And as you can see, I listed that this is what we're presenting is recommended by the Public Works Liaisons, Deputy Mayor Gaskell, Committeeman Silva, myself, Bill Montag, and Dan DePasquale, our Township Engineer. So pleased to say that at least it's a joint recommendation. The goals and responsibilities of this effort, improving municipal roads, was one of the stated goals of this administration, have reorganization. We heard that loud and clear. The staff heard that loud and clear. One of our primary responsibilities as municipal government is road maintenance. That's something that benefits everybody. Road maintenance is a municipal expenditure that, again, everybody takes advantage of. We have about 180 miles of municipal roadway. There's other roadway that's state-owned and county-owned that's outside our purview. We help by sending letters to get that repaid, but we're not responsible for that. So the Public Works Committee's specific goals were what? To identify all the available road money that we had, and then recommend a road program that spends the limited dollars where it will have the most impact. And again, it's not a science, it's a combination of science and art. We're recommending $1 million 2008 road program. And I know the first thing you're going to say is, how did Ed get from $575,000 to $1 million? Well, I heard what the administration's goal was, and I'm going to show you how I recommend you can get to $1 million. First off, I went backwards and looked at some previous road programs. In 2003, $500,000 was budgeted, $477,000 was spent, $13,000 remained in there. Same thing in 2004, 500 budgeted, 441 spent, 58 remaining. So on, 35 remaining. 06, 195 remaining. 07, 175,000 was budgeted, the whole thing was spent. So what does that mean? That means rounded off to $305,000 was left in old road accounts where those projects had been closed out. So one of the things I'm recommending is that we, since it's already been budgeted for roads, that we continue to use it on roads. And we just combine that with the 2008 money you already budgeted for, which makes our unexpended road paving balances, as again, $305,000. A 2008 capital budget, $575,000. We're getting a DOT trust fund grant of $150,000 for New York Avenue. When you add that together, that's $1 million road program. And that's how we got to $1 million, by using all the available road money. All right, so that takes care of the money. Now, before I get into how we pick the roads, there's two that deserve special consideration that we kind of have to deduct off that $1 million. The DOT trust fund road is New York Avenue. So that $150,000 has to go towards New York Avenue. We can't put that somewhere else. That's kind of phase two. We already got a DOT trust fund grant for New York. This is another piece of New York Avenue. Skip Morgan Drive is one that we've committed to. It's long overdue. We have to get that done. We've already awarded that engineering contract to our engineer. And this is a high estimate. I don't know if it's going to cost $200,000. It may, it may not. But that's where we have currently a closed road in town. We have to repair the culvert and open the road up for those residents that live out there. This administration told me that they were committed to doing that, and that's reflected in our award already to the engineer. So I think we've got to take those two right off the top. That's about $350,000. That leaves us with $680,000 left to pave new identified roads. All right, I want to talk about process. What's the overall goal in this process? Is to get the most impact for the dollars available. And look, everybody's cynical about government, even myself sometimes. I want to assure the public and the governing body, and I want to go through the process. I think it's important for residents to understand how a road gets on the road list. It's not based on who you know or how loud you complain or whether you come to a meeting. It's not just based on those things. We have a process, and I want to go through that a little bit. We have a pavement management program, which we call our PMP. It's a database of every road in the township. It includes such details as the last date it was paved, the number of homes, how long is it, all these things. It includes a grade. The grade is from 0 to 100. That's the scale. 0 is the road is horrible, like you can't see it too good in the picture, but that's a 0. And the 100 would be a newly paved road. So the lowest graded roads are then evaluated on factors such as traffic volume, overall condition, is it a connecting artery? Because we're always going to have more roads in need of repair than we have money to repair them. So we may end up with, let's just say 20 roads that are under 10. So then we start looking at, is it a cul-de-sac? Is it high traffic volume? We look at those kinds of things in there. We also look at equal distribution township because we have 113 square mile township, and we're sensitive to making sure that we do infrastructure improvements across the whole township and not have them end up being all in one pocket of the town. This didn't come out quite as good as I wanted it to, but and again, we have a big town. This is the entire township, and these are the areas where we have recommended locations. And I'm going to zoom in on some of these, but here's Mays Landing. The color in red is of one of the roads we're proposing. So there's a bunch in Mays Landing proper. Here's, at this section, there's one up here on Drosera. What is this, New York? Oakrest. And where are we at?
Mount Vernon.
Yes. And then the alternates are in blue, are up in the Weymouth section, McCall. We'll go over some of those more in detail. Alternate means, I always like to throw some alternates there. That was Dan's idea, it was a good idea. That you never know how these projects are going to come in, and if they do come in under bid, we want to have some alternates there that we can still spend the rest of the money so we don't leave it on the table. And that's why we included those as alternates. Thank you, Steve. It's already there. Yeah, there we go. This is Mays Landing, and we did the same thing here. The only thing I want to say about these, it looks like a disproportionate amount of money is going to Mays Landing. That's not necessarily true. A lot of these in Mays Landing are what we call micro-surfacing. They're not a full road reconstruct. It's just a little bit of milling and an overlay, which will make the road last a lot longer, but it's not as much money. And I'm just going to flash through some of these. You'll see Lenape was up there, Heritage, Ivans, Abbott. They're all in the hard copy. So you can read them, follow along in the hard copies that went out. So this should pretty much finish up the Mays Landing proper. We micro-surfaced a couple of years ago, and this should finish up the rest of the ones that didn't get micro-surfaced. First alternates, again, funds committee would be McCall Avenue, Belmont Avenue, 4th Avenue, this is at the Weymouth section, 3rd Avenue, Asbury Avenue. I just put this on, I'm not going to read through these, but this is, again, what I just showed you on the map as to the micro-surfacing. Well, these three aren't micro-surfacing. Mount Vernon, Drosera, Oakrest, and Lenape are all full regular road reconstruction. That's the rest of the roads on the road program. So I didn't want to make it too long. That's our recommendation, and I wanted to take questions from the committee, if there's any questions on the road program.
And statement first, this is long overdue. I'm shocked and dismayed. Actually, I've seen those numbers before, that there was not any significant money budgeted for a whole lot of years for roads. And I want to pay respects to two voices in the wilderness that have been crying out for a lot of years. And I noticed that at least one of them came in as Sunday Finest. Jack Percy has always been a real stickler on putting enough money in each year for road repairs. And if you don't, roads age quickly. And Lane Dix, following Jack's lead, has been again a voice crying to deaf ears, frankly, that more money needed to be spent on infrastructure. So I'm delighted to see this. I'm disappointed that there were years that have gone by that where money just wasn't bothered to be even considered. That's not good business. Making that up and using this money to catch up, I think, and we're still not caught up. There's a few areas that I'm familiar with that didn't make the list that are in need. But at least we're on the right track, and I don't think we'll ever be a windfall like this, but it's a good use of dollars that are already in the bank.
And we look forward to the day with the engineer's assessment of the roads in this township, where when a resident picks up the phone and says, have you really taken a good look at my street? And I look forward to the day when you say, yes, we have, and it's slated to be paved on such and such a date. I believe that is where we should be going, and hopefully that's the end game here in terms of what the next reports will look like. We'll be able to call out a street and tell the residents they're scheduled for 2009, 2010,
providing, we have to make certain assumptions on like how much budget we budget each year. So that's where we're trying to give you a list and say, here it is. Dan, for perspective, and statement was made earlier, we have approximately 180 miles of roadway in the township that we are responsible for. How many miles do you think we'll get out of this? You have to second that. Well, I don't really know exactly right now all the, I mean, I can go through. But give me a percentage, ballpark. We didn't calculate. I don't know, I have it right here, I can give you 5 minutes, I can tell you how. We can move on to other questions and come back. I'd like to know that. My guess is, it isn't going to be huge, but it's something that needs to be done. I would say, if it represents 10% of what the needs are, I think it would be a lot. So the microsurfacing, the part in Maze Lane we're talking about is approximately 6 miles. 6 miles of road being microsurfaced. Lenity Avenue, or Drosera is approximately, I'll give you back on some of those numbers. That's, microsurfacing is about 6 miles. Give me 5 minutes and I'll tell you how long those other things are.
One of the most significant things we have to recognize here is that we did listen to the citizens, their complaints, and how they felt we had, over the past administrations, hadn't done our duty as representatives and make sure that the roads were taken care of, and to jump up to this amount of $1 million versus last year was $175,000 is a huge increase, and I believe to be the largest road program Hamilton Township has ever had. We did listen to our constituents. I think this is a great project. Dan worked very hard on this. This is a good job. I really think we did well.
I just have one question, and you might have mentioned it, maybe I missed it. How do you make the decision in the process of microsurfacing, I would assume, a larger percent of mileage versus doing a total road overhaul that might be a lesser amount of mileage? So how's that balance?
I'm going to let Dan answer the technical part of that, but from a policy decision, some roads can't be microsurfaced. The potholes are too bad, there's not enough sub-base, the cracks are too big. So if you went in there and milled it and put a light surface on it, it would crumble away. So the road has to be conducive to that. Right, and you want to give some more technical background?
Based on the ratings that we did, there's the worst number, like might be from 0 to 40. We'll all determine that's the roads that we reconstructed. From 40 to 60 might be overlaid, from 60 to 80 might be mill and overlay, and one's higher might be the microsurfacing. What the microsurfacing does is, after you pave a road, after about 7 or 8 years, stones, you start to get a little shinier, you start seeing aggregate come up, and that's when the microsurfacing essentially seals the whole road. Gives it more light. It's not like a driveway sealer is the best analogy I can give to it, but the fact is this is a little thicker. Driveway sealer is very liquidy. This actually has a little bit of thickness to it. Fills in all the cracks, seals all the, doesn't allow moisture to get into it. That's what microsurfacing really extends the life of roads. And so it's a lot more inexpensive.
So then before it gets to be a 30 or a 40, we extend that.
Right.
contiguous owner land sale authorization for Block 384, Lot 12 on West Point Avenue with a $1,000 minimum bid.
So moved.
Second.
What is,
It's a
public hearing?
Public hearing,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah, that's okay.
You have me going?
We were moving on it.
Anybody have any comments before we open it to the public? Yeah, hearing none. Is there anyone in the public that has any questions or comments?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Now I'll make my motion to adopt the ordinance 1627-2008 as printed.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Gaskell?
Yes.
Ms. Gatto?
Yes.
Mr. Nichols?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Pro.
Yes.
All ayes and adopted.
And next we have introduction of two ordinances with the public hearing to be held on July 21st. 21st?
21st, you're right. Yeah.
First is 1626-2008, which amends Chapter 225, Article 1, Section 225-2 of the Hamilton Township Code entitled Cove Area Fees. This is based upon the discussion we had at the last meeting about the change in the fee structure.
Memorializing the five that
Right.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
A quick comment. Again, those of us who are avid readers of politicernj.com, there was an article today about the various ways that the beach communities are raising money, and we're still a bargain by a lot. There were $100 beach fees in certain parts of mid New Jersey, which staggered me, so this is still a huge value.
Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have 1628-2008 to amend Chapter 203 of the Land Use and Development Code of the Township of Hamilton by specifically amending Section 203-12, District Boundaries and Zoning Map as recommended by the Planning Board.
Layman's terms, can we get an explanation of that, please?
This is the parcel, I believe, that's on that triangle right at the turnaround at Wrangleboro Road and 322. It comes in at the top of the loop. It's zoned residential. There's absolutely no way in the world that it could be ever used residentially. It would assist in the furthering of Volunteer Way. It's just, to me, you're taking a piece of land that has no value as it's presently zoned and correcting. Well, it is a small piece, but it was correct. It's something that is correcting something that was missed in the master plan as it was performed a couple of years ago. And Mr. Biglin attested to that at the last planning board meeting. It was just one of those parcels that got on by. So this is correcting a situation that needs to be corrected for a lot of positive uses for the township versus no downside as we saw it.
Thanks, Joe.
we also have a unanimous recommendation from the planning board. Your packet also.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have the consent agenda. Items 7A through O.
Who made that? We're all talking.
In favor?
Yeah, but who made the motion and who seconded it?
There was no motion.
Oh, good.
I'll
Okay.
make the motion.
Second.
Can't get one by here, can we?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Want to take a revote just to be on the, make it official? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right, now on the consent agenda, items 7A through 7O.
Motion to approve consent agenda 7A through 7O.
Second.
Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Personnel, first we had the approval of an extension of FMLA medical leave of absence without pay for John Grunow Sr. from July 7th through August 4th, subject to condition that township cannot guarantee return to the exact same position upon expiration of leave.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approve personal leave of absence without pay for Genevieve Woodcraft, not to exceed 2 weeks duration, effective dates to be announced.
The only thing I want to say there about Genevieve, she's one of our fire inspectors. This leave of absence is, she's going out, she's also a firefighter, and she's going out, or has been asked to go out west to help fight the wildfires in California. So that's why she's taking the leave of absence.
Yeah.
I'll move that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Next is to appoint Anthony Chinaki, temporary labor at $9.25 per hour for 8 weeks, effective July 8th, 2008.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I have approvals, minutes of March 17th and June 2nd regular meetings and the June 16th, 2008 executive session.
On their late list, there was a correction. That was supposed to be
Oh, I'm sorry.
16th regular meeting. And the bill list total also is to be correct.
Okay.
But that one first.
Okay, we had the minutes.
Make a motion. That's the minutes of June, correct the minutes
16.
meeting dates from June 2nd, 2008 to June 16th, 2008.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next, we have the payrolls and bills. And I misplaced my bill, my late list thing. Okay. The correct bill list is $4,534,823.82 as of July 3rd.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have reports. Ed, do you have anything else?
No, the only thing is I just want to echo the congratulations for Steve getting Employee of the Quarter. I depend on him tremendously. He does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees, everything from setting up somebody's printer to the network service to mobile data terminals to that PowerPoint presentation to the website, and he's a very valuable resource. I was glad to see him win that award.
Absolutely. Randy?
Other than congratulating Steve, we have nothing to.
Okay. Dan?
Pickles out. Actually, it's 8 miles. The alternate is 10 miles.
So we still have a long way to go.
About 5%. 8 miles is about 5%.
But not all the municipal road is in need of
Right.
Right.
paving.
Eventually, they all will.
No, you're absolutely.
And that is, I mean, I must tell you that has been Mr. Percy's charge for as long as I've known him, and it's way longer than I would care to say, but he has always stressed the importance of a continuous, well-funded road program as being essential to the infrastructure of the community. And
I got that lecture too from Mr. Percy.
well, I got it early on, and it never left me. So I think he's
We've
right.
all heard it. Well put, John.
Absolutely. Yeah, and do you know what the going price is now, like per mile, to do a repaving project? You know, ballpark?
Well, it's hard to say because like out in Misfit,
Right.
Lenape Avenue is a lot more expensive. 900 feet.
Mhm. Right.
Sidewalk, it all depends.
Yeah.
Out in Misfit, off on.
Right. If it was just strictly repaving and not any curb, is there a standard, like an industry standard, you know? Well, that's okay. I was just curious if you knew something of, you know, what the average cost per mile would be for an asphalt project. It's not.
Yeah, I actually asked Mr. Sazzelli that question about benchmarking or best practice around the cost per mile, and said it's very hard to make an apples-to-apples comparison, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Price goes way up.
Yeah.
Sure.
Curb,
yeah. I think as we build a the long-term road program, that's good data to just have on hand, and I think we'll do that, so.
Excellent. Okay. Township Committee, Nelson?
All I want to report tonight is that, first of all, I want to congratulate Steve because I know all his emails and everything. He works very hard for us over the weekends, at nights, and keeps the website up to date and does a very good job on that. The Cove project is moving along. They have installed the baskets, they call them. They put baskets in there and they put the rocks in there. And that's going to tear back, and then we'll be able to put some flowers or whatever in front of that, so it'll have a good aesthetic view from the lake and all. And that's being done with FEMA money from last year's flood, where Ingrid and Bill Montag did a very good job of keeping that chronologized. And, so we're moving ahead with that project. That'll be done soon. And I'm not sure where they're going from there, but they're very steady working out there, and they're doing a great job with the ball fields and keeping all the parks and everything clean and all for the young children. So that's all I have.
Great. Thanks, Nelson. Joe?
Yeah, a few things. First, I want to make public something that most of us have already been made aware of, that our chairman of our industrial commission, Bob Revelle, in spite of fire and storm, was able to give us information on Thursday that Summit has sent in the necessary dollars to move that project forward. That project is now a done deal, according to Mr. Revelle again today. And actually, there was, I think, I'm going to say 247,000.
About 260.
Another 100,000 that was a mistake that was found in during the closing process to our favor, that will be coming to us, as I understand, today. It was either transferred today or it was recognized and approved today, and it'll be transferred tomorrow. So that's a good step in the industrial park, and I commend Mr. Revelle and his group for the fine job that they've done so far on that.
And that's a double benefit, because not only do we get the revenue from the land purchase, as soon as they go to closing, they now own it and start paying taxes on it.
Well, they pay taxes, that's right. Plus, they have customers that want to come and utilize that facility, so that's exciting. Second, and again, congratulations to Public Works, people in the county. We ran into a problem at the dam, and it's if you'll notice in your in your mailboxes today, I found an article that was written in all places in American Legion magazine that talked about the 30,000 dams in the United States that are at failure. And we aren't. I read that and said, boy, we're in good shape. even losing the water that we had lost. But the fact that was recognized, and I look back on the timelines, and there's always going to be critics, but this was identified very early, and through a process that included DEP, which is not the easiest in the world to get fast movement on, and the county and the township, we were able to find a solution to a pretty interesting engineering problem, and get that one sluice closed up, and the fact that the dam is now at least holding water. We're not losing more water than we thought. In fact, when I was looking at the road program, I thought at one point that there was going to be a road in the back of my house on the lakeside. We're glad to see that that's been taken care of, and I appreciate that. Having lived, living on that lake, and knowing that dam is recognized as an issue, and that is a very interesting article. And I see, Randy, you've got it out there, and pretty frightening, the fact that there's been a lot of states, counties, and municipalities that have just basically ignored what is a burgeoning problem, and the fact that we're addressing it the way we are, I think, is a benefit. Third, and I'm going to, well, again, I'll do it in this order. I was remiss at the last meeting to recognize a significant contribution made to the senior center renovation from Freeholder McDevitt. And in spite of, again, some angst that he took for giving the check, I thank him. He made a promise early on that he was not going to use his Freeholder check this year for any personal issues, that he was going to donate it, and he he felt that the Hamilton Township Senior Center was worthy of donation of one of those checks, and that was in the tune on, and I don't know the numbers exactly, but it was roughly $650, somewhere in that range. I was advised that this week that, in spite of some threats, there will be other money coming in to help finish that thing off, and hopefully I'll be able to purchase the siding. So that is a goal that I've had since the beginning, since I got here, that I want to get that senior center up to speed and finished as best as I can. There have been some promises made that have not come through, but these are promises that are coming through, and there's enough money in there to move forward on the next phase. And then last, and I got to ask this question because it's getting close to that time, and I'll bring it up. Pucci. We had heard an issue several months back concerning residents and Mr. Pucci concerning a mound of dirt that was promised to be moved within 6 months. That 6 months is coming up on us.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know what's been done. So if you could give us a report on that at the next meeting, and let me know what plans Mr. Pucci and his attorney, because his attorney was the one that made the pronouncements that he would see it done, to have both of them either come before this board and give us an update, or if you can get that update done, because to me there's a lot of issues here, including when somebody said they're going to do something, I take them at their word, they're going to do it.
Good point, Joe. Is that it? All right, thanks, Joe. Amy?
Thanks. I just also want to extend congratulations to Steve. He does a really great job of implementing something I've been striving to do, is get us a little bit more technologically savvy in terms of the website and information out to residents, and he's doing a great job with that. Also, just want to say excellent work on the road program to the liaisons and our other employees who worked on it. I think it's a great step in the right direction, and the fact that there's going to be a 45-year plan, I think that's amazing in terms of, it's something we've all set up here, is instead of looking year after year after year, to have a multi-year, long-term plan to help you use your dollars wisely and effectively. I just think that we're in the right direction, and I think it's great work. Just wanted to acknowledge all the efforts of our employees and residents and merchants at Hometown Celebration. It was a great job. And also just wanted to acknowledge Ingrid and other employees for their efforts on creating a more robust recycling program here in Town Hall. I'm trying to go green in my own small way at home, and I think it's great that we're taking steps to do that as well. And I'm not hoping everybody saw the email that they were going to be putting clearly labeled and extra recycling bins in all the offices in Town Hall, and I think that's just great as well. So good work, Town Hall.
It's important for us to set an example.
Yep.
So it is. I was very happy to see that. Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.
Roger?
Joe, I'm glad you brought up the comments about the dam. I noticed this afternoon as I was coming by, water was coming over the spillway. One has been seriously concerned about the dropping level, and I think the levels are starting to come up to a point where hopefully everything will be back to normal. I do appreciate your comments, Joe, about the closing of the property in the industrial park. I'd called Mr. Ravel this weekend to compliment him and the rest of the board on their perseverance over time in bringing closing of that property to a conclusion, and hopefully it'll be the beginning of a lot of good things happening in the park. Speaking of the Industrial Commission, the person who was really responsible for the upkeep of the front of that park has been Carmen Fricciatola. Carmen did, and I want to compliment him publicly. He worked with Ingrid Perez to beautify the front of our building here. You notice he donated 2 hibiscus plants. There's a lot of vincas planted out there, and I think as they get watered more and the weather shines favorably on them, the front of Town Hall will start looking very colorful, and that's a pleasing aspect. As I was sitting here and listening to everybody compliment Steve on the work that he's done, I think back to the days before they even began to televise any of the meetings here, and how the meetings would go and the outcry of people having an opportunity to participate in the interaction with government. We've come a long way in a short period of time, thanks to you, Steve. Your efforts are well noted. I think the quality of what you put on the website is outstanding. I listened with great interest in the comments that the chief made when he made his presentation and recommendation of you for Employee of the Quarter, and it's well-deserved, so I thank you. I'm most pleased to know that a lot of the public has a great opportunity now to learn a lot more about what goes on in this township. Nothing is swept under the rug, so to speak, as we hear so many times. Trying to bring open government to the population is something very significant that each and every one of the people who participates in it should feel very well and proud to. And I'm pleased to be part of it, and I just hope the work continues, and I hope that the public continues to come out and speak their mind, because we learn from them every day. So we're forever thankful for that opportunity, and we look forward to continuing what had been put in motion this year.
Thanks, Roger. I just want to echo Amy's comments about the hometown celebration. Another great day, and both during the day and in the evening with the fireworks. And I want to thank all those that were involved, especially the merchants and all the rest of the sponsors that chipped in when it looked like we weren't going to have the fireworks. They came forth, carried the ball, and really ran with it. So I want to thank them. One other item. This last week, we received an unsolicited check in the amount of $2,000 from the ARC of Atlantic County. They're a tax-exempt organization, and they don't pay any property taxes in the township because of that, where they do have a group home. They have a group home in Harding's Run Village and also some other supervised apartments. They basically presented us with a check for $2,000 in lieu of taxes. They did send that. And when they sent it, they asked that we would do something with the money that would increase opportunities for people with disabilities to participate in community recreation, education, and social activities. Like Ed, our solicitor, our administrator, Ed Sazdelli, came up with an idea that we're looking to fund a fire safety, a fire survey, fire apparatus survey. That'll be $8,000? $8,000 altogether. So he suggested using this $2,000 toward that to help pay for that survey. And he called Deborah Davies, who's the chief executive officer of the ARC, to run that by her, and she thought that was a great idea because that might in fact help their people somewhere down the road if they do run into any problems from a fire safety aspect. So she was very supportive. So again, I'd like to thank the ARC for sending us that check and to let them know the money will be used very wisely. With that, we'll open it to the public if anyone has anything they'd like to bring forth. I think Bruce beat you by a second there, Jack.
Before you come off, should we black out? Should we black out the
Don't let
This might be a little tough.
Don't let the kids see this.
We don't advocate censorship, but in certain instances, it's.
You just be thankful that I'm a
We are.
good-hearted guy. I don't retaliate, at least not publicly. On this location chart, Oakcrest Drive. Can you define to me what Oakcrest Drive is? Where Oakcrest Drive is? I know there's a Denmead Drive.
It's in Cullen Gardens.
Dan, will you handle that?
I know there's a Denmead Drive, and I know that there's a Dr. Dennis Foreman Drive. But where is Oakcrest Drive?
States.
It's just in Oakcrest.
Oakcrest Estates, isn't it?
It's right off
Oakcrest
the line.
Estates, I thought.
This is going to be in Oakcrest Estates.
Yeah.
States, yes.
Okay. Clears that one up. The second issue on the consent agenda, 70. Last meeting, I brought up the issue about the vacation of West Jersey Avenue, Boulevard, whatever it is. And here you're going to vacate this little 50-foot piece on a street that's about a mile long. it's 100 feet wide, which is really ridiculous. Now, the planning board, and I'm on the motion from the planning board, is to vacate half of that street, all the way from one end to the other, because it's not necessary. And I'm not too sure that you're even considering doing that. You don't need a 50-foot or 100-foot right-of-way out in the Mizpah section, which is exactly contiguous to the railroad right-of-way. You can cut off 50 feet of that West Jersey Avenue completely, put 50 feet on the west side and 50 feet on the east side, contiguous to the railroad.
Right.
And make it 150 feet. Now, not that you're going to need 150 feet. Now, I don't know who's going to use the railroad right away other than the county for maybe that bike path. But it'd make a lot more sense to vacate the entirety of that West Jersey Avenue. Put a 50-foot piece on the west side, which includes this here, and also the 50 feet on the east side. Again, there's no necessity for having a 100-foot, 1 mile stretch of road.
Yeah. But from a legal perspective, how would that be a complex issue as far as the role of the landowners along that stretch of the road?
Well, on the east side, it would still be in the township ownership. On the west side, it would attribute to all the landowners alongside of it, or vacating, or the butt end of the streets.
Yeah, but wouldn't there be a lot of legal costs involved with?
Be a lot of engineering
Yeah.
costs
Yeah.
involved.
Every single property has to have a new
Right.
Right.
description done. I don't know how many properties alone, there was quite a few.
That's probably, yeah. But you still don't have to do that until you go to a settlement process.
No, you have to, if you want to vacate it, you have, right, there's a legal description for property and vacate it. You have to have a plat drawn up, file that.
Well, the suggestion was from the planning board for the governing body to take a look at it. And if in fact you don't want to do that, then at least you go on the record as saying you're not going to do it because of the expense or something, because it did come from the planning board to look at it and come up with a recommendation.
But I think you're right. I mean, what we were asked was a parcel that voted on this evening, and
Right, it's that
you're
little
you're bringing up
50-foot
another
piece,
issue.
you know.
But I'm fascinated by the thought, but I think you're right. The cost would be prohibitive, and we would bear that cost, as I understand it.
Well, I don't know if it was the individual landowners. I guess.
Beneficiary of the
Right.
Right.
So you'd have.
They'd have to apply for us to do that then.
Right.
They have to pay for it.
Okay, you're paying. Okay.
Yeah, Ms. Kraus paid for hers.
Yeah. So every landowner along that stretch would have to pay to have all that done.
And I guess the curiosity is that if they didn't want to do it, then what would be the outcome? I don't know. But it was just, again, from the planning board, I know, because I was on the motion to at least look at it and come up with some sort of neither do nothing at all, or just do this little piece, and every time somebody else comes along, you just do another little piece as it goes along. But you don't really need out in Mizpah, you don't need a 100-foot right-of-way alongside of another 100-foot right-of-way, which is really 200 feet, which is the West Jersey plus the railroad. Not just.
No, you're right. No, I agree with you. I just don't know how we do that from charging the people to have
I don't
somebody,
either.
An unexpected bill for, yes.
Whenever you're going to vacate a street like that, when you get a request, like Debbie's just was adjoining her property. If you're going to do the whole street, everybody has to be notified that you're contemplating it. And the way I do it, I send them, I have no objections, I object because. Then you have to look at the results. A lot of people will tell you, I don't want another 50 feet because I don't want to give you another penny in taxes. That's what happened with a couple of them that we did.
Okay, just wanted to, keep the issue there because, at least go back to the planning board and with your result to say, which is, it's not economically feasible to do it or whatever, so. All right.
All right. Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Bruce, you want to take your turn.
You can.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
I want to revisit a letter. But before I do that, I also, as a member of public, I'd like to congratulate Steve on his excellent work. I know I visit the Township's website many times to see agendas and minutes, so from this side of the room, congratulations to Steve as well. I'd like to revisit a letter by Mr. Gaskell in the local newspaper. The theme of the letter was misinformation concerning the development of Magic Sports, and the fact that the township is, or since it was signed by the deputy mayor, is hanging their hats on the $9 million in expected revenue, tax revenue. At the time, I didn't have the fiscal impact statement by the developer, but since I've had a time to study it, and one thing that stands out, and I know it's kind of hard to digest big numbers, but the developer is suggesting or estimated $496 million. That's just $4 million short of $500 million in construction costs in the industrial park. To put that into perspective, based on the same report, the assessed value of all other commercial ratables, assessed value in the entire township, is $301 million. And after the equalization of the $496 million, that's $232 million. So if you compare that, that's 77%, which Magic Sports would be of the entire amount in the township, which would include the Hamilton Mall, Rangelbury Square, all of the other property in the industrial park, virtually everything, Hamilton Commons, everything that is in the township. To me, that sounds like a gross overstatement of what kind of tax revenue we can expect. I don't know that on 137 acres, we can fit 2/3 in ratables of what's in the entire township. So I think people are going to be a little disappointed when they don't see $9 million come in to the township, and that includes money going to the schools and the town, the municipality and the county. I had another question that I had posed to the administrator and the tax assessor regarding assessments, and I don't think I never got an answer, but apparently there is one if we're stating the fact that we're going to get that much money in revenue. I had asked the question if the air dome was an accessible structure. And I know this question has been floating around for some time. I asked it. I've never received an answer on that. It appears that that structure, it's 150,000 square feet. It's 300 feet by 500 feet. Now, if that were an accessible structure, that would be a lot of tax dollars. Can you tell me if that, because it is included, I'm assuming, in construction cost, is it accessible?
Well, first off, I think that there's one flaw. I see one flaw in your case, which you make very articulate. There is not necessarily a correlation between construction cost and assessed value.
That's absolutely right.
Something could cost X to build it. That doesn't mean that that's what the assessor is going to assess it at. So
that actually, you're right, and I agree, and that actually would strengthen the case for getting less money because, for example, if the included in the $496 million, that would include, for example, all the furniture, all the exercise equipment within the hotel,
parking lots, poles,
everything. So, of that $496 million, only a percentage of that is accessible.
Correct.
So that would be much, much less than $496 million therefore the equalization value would be even further lowered.
Well, I don't know about the much, much less part, but I agree with you, it would be a different figure, probably less. The other thing is, I didn't hear anybody on the committee, either in the newspaper or from the dais, use the words that you used, that we're hanging our hats on $9 million. I don't think any of us are hanging our hats on $9 million.
I'm just going from the letter, that's all.
I think, well, which was taken from the applicant's estimate. We understand that that's the applicant's fiscal impact statement.
That's right.
But the question is, in our minds, is there's going to be, when you develop it with ratables, there's going to be a ratable. Whether it's going to be 7 million, 5 million, 4 million, 9 million, I don't have any idea. But there's going to be something there, and I think the only thing, I can't give you an answer because I don't know the answer as to whether that particular aerodrome is taxed or not. All I can tell you is I highly doubt that the construction value is going to be the assessed value.
Well, maybe I was misunderstood. That's my point. I think the construction value is grossly overstated by the applicant. I think it's going to be much less, and even after the equalized number, we're going to see much, much less than the anticipated or stated in the newspaper, and generally what is stated by deputy mayor or any township committee, since they have access to all of that information, it tends to be treated as true.
That's not, I don't think that's a fair characterization, and I certainly don't need to defend the deputy mayor. He's quite capable of doing that himself. He wasn't putting that number out there as his number. He was just putting out there what had been given in the fiscal impact statement from the applicant. That's all we have at this point in time.
Okay, understood. That being said, we have professionals that review all of the other phases of the project. Engineering, traffic, planning, landscaping. That seems to be one that we do not have a professional look at, and either our assessor, yourself as the township administrator. So how can the public, if we're led to believe that the inconveniences that one neighborhood will have to endure can be offset by a huge amount of tax revenue that will soften the blow to everyone else in the township. So how can we be sure, some way, that estimate of $9,075,000, to be more exact, is something that a number that we can use to support or not support as a project? How can we be sure that they're telling us the truth? Or not exaggerating for their own personal or their own benefit.
Bruce, I would just suggest that you make that suggestion at the planning board meeting. I don't want to go into detail because, again,
I understand. Well, it's not.
But I would make that suggestion when it comes up at the planning board meeting.
Another meeting.
No, well, I mean, that's where the application is going to be heard. I mean, this governing body doesn't make any recommendations about hiring.
Well, my question was to Mr. Gaskell, based on his statement that we would be receiving that type of revenue that would soften the blow to the entire township, while a section of the Mays Landing, namely Clarktown area, would suffer the ill effects.
Well, I based that on the impact statement from Karabashian. I believe that he's a very integrable person, and he's not going to embellish on that. Somewhat, maybe. They all do that. We all understand that part. But I don't think to the extent that you may be thinking it's been embellished on. The article also addressed the misinformation about the skyscrapers that was put out there. And so it wasn't an article just about the impact statement. It was also that some of the misinformation was put out there. And also, I want to let the public know how the process works, that it does have to go before the planning board. They will make the final determinations, and we don't even know if that's what's been proposed is how it'll come out in the end. It probably won't. You know, you've been on the planning board, you sat up here, that what's been proposed quite likely will not be what will be built, because the planning board will have their say on it, and they may want to change different things.
Are you satisfied that the value of that project is, after equalization and it's apples to apples, is 77% of all other commercial ratables in the township?
I'm satisfied that Mr. Karabashian is a very good planner, and he made those statements based on the information that he got through our tax assessor and various other points of information, and I'm satisfied with that, yes.
Okay. I guess finally, when will we know if the air dome is, and that is a significant portion of this project, when will we know if that is accessible? I think there's probably information within the state. I mean,
Well, I am not spending any administrative time trying to get the answer to that question.
Okay.
Because I don't feel I don't want the staff to spend time on that. If the planning board approves a plan, a preliminary plan or some design, then we have something to show. Then the assessor can start looking at these kinds of things. But I'm not going to run around, what if he puts this? Well, what if he puts that? Well, and then if we do it and we say,
well, this is on the plan. It's not what if, it's on the plan.
but when you get into these things, I said this before publicly, when you get into greenhouses, we run into this all the time with farmers. Well, if I don't put this foundation this thick, then it's not a permanent structure. But if I put this cross brace, then it makes it a permanent structure. So I'm not putting the cross brace. I don't want to get into that. You know, it is what it is. You already know the answer to the question. You checked with somebody. You spent much more time on it than I have. If these structures are in the state of New Jersey, you already know if they're taxed.
To be honest with you, no. I don't know. Some questions I know the answers to. This one, I'll be honest with you, I don't know the answer to this
You know
one.
the company that is designing this aerodome, and you know where this company has aerodomes. All you have to do is call the assessor. It's public information, and find out if they're taxed or not.
Most of them are on public property. The one in Tom's River, for example, is...
Be exempt.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I do not know the answer to... Are we interested in it? As a township that is expecting to receive dollars.
This applicant the same as we treat all the other applicants, and we don't jerk a plan away from the planning board, give it to the assessor, and have him go through it and then report back to the planning board whether they're taxable or not. It would be unfair to treat this applicant any different.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. Kraus?
Yep.
If you want to be on the TV.
So we throw the switch.
You're ready for prime time.
I just want to say to Bruce and to everybody that Mr. Sazdelli is absolutely right. I've done enough houses in this township to know that the assessor does not come out until it's completely done. Then he comes out and he makes his assessment on the house and any other structures that are on the property. Nothing happens until your final CO has been received. Then he comes out. It would be... if I build a house and put a garage up later, okay, he's going to come out, see the house. He wants it when it is done, when all the concrete's poured, when the patios are done, when everything's in place. That's when the assessor comes out. Okay, I can't see doing Magic Sports any different than anybody else because you could be looking at a lawsuit.
Yeah. Thanks, Deb. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't know how long ago it was, but we had a meeting with a presentation from someone from the county about recycling, and I see that you guys are doing more recycling in Town Hall. What are we doing, or what can we do to get the word out, maybe educate the residents on what we should be doing to up our recycle use? Can we have an education? Can you guys sponsor something? I mean, I know what I know from however long ago, and I haven't changed it, and I really need to get up on it, but I mean,
One of the things-
obviously, because our recycling has gone down, we need to educate the whole community.
One of the things I spoke to Ingrid about, and I don't know how quickly it'll be feasible, but there's a Recycle Bank, if I remember right. It's a company that actually commingles recyclables, and they actually reward people for recycling. It's currently being used in Folsom, and within the last week, Cherry Hill signed on to it also. There's a
Chip in your trash can and
Yeah.
weigh it before they dump it into the truck. And then you get, I think, points or something based on your weight. And then I believe the company facilitates some agreements with like local merchants or, stores where you would get discounts or something.
Right.
Or use your banked bucks based on that.
It really it sounds like the wave of the future, and it's something that I'd really like to be proactive on. Problem is there could be a significant capital outlay, so that's something that we'd have to look at also. But also we would save a lot of money in the long run yearly as far as collection of recyclables.
So there'd be a capital outlay to join that program.
Right.
But there really wouldn't be anything for us to do some education on the website, on Channel 2, in the bills, tax bills. We can be sending information out. That stuff wouldn't really cost us anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if the ACUA has anything planned, but we may be able to partner with them and even partner with the electric and gas companies who also are very supportive of a lot of environmentally friendly programs these days, namely the recycling of CFLs and electronics, things like that, things that are not typically thought of to be recyclable. So I think it's worth some looking into for sure. I mean, I'm certainly, like I said, trying to go green myself, so I'm doing some education personally, but I think it would be great if we could partner up and just get the word out.
Yeah, I think the public needs to realize that the more we recycle, the more money we save, but when it doesn't get dumped into the traditional waste stream.
Right.
There's a definite benefit to all of us when people recycle.
I think we're selling our environmental commission a little bit short here.
No,
They've been on top of this issue. They have had conversations with the ACUA and with other entities in terms of grant applications and things like that. So I think what you're asking for is already in motion. There's a meeting on Wednesday night which I will be in attendance, and I will ask that question. But I know that Bill Crispin and his very aggressive, very proactive membership has taken this already under consideration and is moving forward with whatever they can put together. And I know they've worked with Phil Sartorio in getting some kind of a grant to help in that regard.
And the only other thing I want to say is I haven't been on the website recently, but I do get the updates now, and I do think it's great that we are getting those updates and we know when there are agendas and late items and ordinances and things that are posted on the website. So you are doing a good job, so thank you.
Great. Well, thanks, Steve, for that back there. As if he hasn't had enough platitudes tonight, right? But just
We're going to do next time.
Yeah. He's going to get a new hat.
Is there anyone else?
Close the public portion.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We don't have an executive session, right?
Actually, we have a very short executive
okay.
session. And I
Anything-
don't think there's going to be action. It's just an update.
Okay.
Just need to update the Township Committee on a matter.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive
I'll make
session?
that motion. Adjourn to executive session.
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Good night, and thank you for coming.